Good afternoon, Sobha Bindu ma'am. This is Amrendra. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Shall we start?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes, Sudhir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Now, I would like to introduce Mr. Amrendra Sharan to the participants. Here, Amrendra Sharan, sir, is a system programmer in the Group A, Computer Science and Engineering Department, NIEEER Chandigarh. He has received his BTech in IT from GGSIP University in New Delhi in 2005 and MTech in IT from CDAC Mohali in 2017. He is pursuing PhD in Computer Science and Engineering at UIET, Punjab University, Chandigarh. He is working at NIEEER in Chandigarh since 2010 and having 11 years of experience in IT field. While working at NIEEER Chandigarh, he has indigenously developed many software and web portals like NITTR official website, NCTL portal, online training management portal, and MIS mobile app, etc. He carried out many consultancy projects of software application development, corporate training for various government and private agencies to the tune of 50 lakhs. He is the key technical person behind developing and managing various softwares, web portals, and implementing paperless office under Go Green initiative. He is also instrumental in smooth functioning of smart data center, servers, and campus-wide network. He is well versed in software development, conducting IT security audit, and implementing the required security arrangement for protecting the cyberspace. His area of expertise includes programming in PHP, large-scale database handling, vulnerability assessment, and penetration testing, etc. His contribution in cyber security for protecting critical information infrastructure is well appreciated and acknowledged by NCIAPC, NTRO, Government of India. He is recipient of Hall of Fame of CERT Europe for vulnerability disclosure in IT applications. He has conducted more than 70 in-house and outstation faculty development programs and delivered invited expert talk during many FDPs in both contact and through ICT mode. He is 7 times GATE qualified with best score 713 and 99.99 percentile. With this brief introduction, I request Amarendra sir to take over the session.
So thank you very much, sir, for giving such a nice introduction. So I welcome all the participants in this afternoon session of FDP on cybersecurity analytics. So I once again I'd like to thank Sobha Bindu ma'am for giving me opportunity to speak in front of these learned peoples. So I thank you once again. So dear participants, in this session we will be going to cover some various security risks which is involved in these website applications. So let me share my screen first. So please let me know in the chat box only if my screen is visible. Yes, dear participants, please let me know if it is visible. Thank you very much, ma'am. So we are going to talk about various website security involved, and then we will also discuss about OS top 10. So agenda of this session will be like this. First of all, we will learn the importance of website security, why it is so important to secure our website. Then we will look into these types of attacks and also the types of vulnerabilities which are available and which are mentioned in OS top 10 security risks. Then we will have some solution for this type of attacks, that is website security audit. We will have an idea. Then first of all, we should analyze the need of website security. So we all are knowing with that growing dependency of businesses and organization on internet, it becomes very essential to have our website. So if you want to make your client list very strong, if you want to make your online digital presence over the World Wide Web, if you want to do some affordable marketing, and if you want to establish credibility between your clients or customers, then the single medium that is your website. So even you are a small startup, you are a well-established organization, you are an academic institution, you are a banking institution, or you are a e-commerce organization. So in each cases you must be having a website through which you can reach out your customer, which is located on different geographical location, right? So which type of, so following types of website we can categorize broadly. So first is category we can have, that is online shopping or e-commerce website, which we are using like Flipkart, Snapdeal, Amazon. Then we can categorize the websites or web application in portal. Portals are the web applications like emails, chat forums, discussion forums, search engine. These are the web applications which can also be categorized as website. Then we can have social media website like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, etc. Then next comes your educational or academic websites. Under this category we falls as NITTR Chandigarh or GNTU, Anandpur, they all falls under this category. We are an academic institution and we are having our website to reach our student, to reach our clients, right? And then we can have online banking, internet banking. All of you must be using internet banking facility of different provided by different banks. So these all types of applications are categorized as website, right? So why to secure our website? Because an insecure website is very, very harmful to the company image, and it is also going to cause a huge loss, right? A compromised website can cause irreparable damage to the company reputation. So I'm going to tell you why it is how it is going to harm the company image and their reputation. Because many times you have encountered a problem that while browsing a website in browsers, so nowadays you must be maybe using Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox or Internet Explorer, whatever the web browsers you are using. So many times you must have encountered a problem that while opening a website, the browsers are giving a warning messages, right? That this website is unsafe, still you want to proceed. So have you ever encountered this type of problem? Yes, dear participant, please respond in the chat box so that it will be a little bit interactive. So have you encountered this type of problem that while browsing any website, the browser is giving an error message or a warning message that this website is very, very harmful, still you want to proceed? Once you will click on that link, then only it will redirect you to the corresponding website, right? So when this type of messages are coming, it means the browser has detected some unusual activity or unusual signatures of malware or viruses into that website. Not only it is limited to the warning given by the browser, but even the search engine like Google or Bing. So nowadays, whenever we need information, whenever you want any information, what you will do? You will just search about that organization or establishment over the Google. You just open google.com, then you will write there NITTR Chandigarh. So it will give you all the details, all the links available with Google about their websites. Sorry? Anyone speaking anything? Please mute yourself, dear participants. So I request the participant, please mute. Unless you are having a query, please keep yourself muted. And if you have any query, you can write in the chat box, right? So whenever Google finds that a website is compromised, whenever Google finds a website is compromised or it is insecure, what it will do, it will put that website into the blacklist, right? So once a website got blacklisted by Google, no prospective customer will be able to search for that companies or their website in the Google. So now you can assume how much it is going to cost you, right? If your business is totally dependent upon Google, your website, like in case of Flipkart or Amazon, their 99% businesses are totally dependent upon their website or their web portals. And if their website or web portal got blacklisted by Google, and whenever a customer want to search for their website in Google, Google is not showing any details about that website. So definitely they are going to lose their customer, and it will be going to directly impact their business, right? So, and moreover, while browsing a website, if the browser is giving an error, a warning that this website is insecure, do not do any financial transaction over here. So will you perform any financial transaction? No, not at all. while browsing a website, if the customer get any malware downloaded in his system, and suppose that malware encrypted all the data, he is asking for ransom, will you ever visit that website again? No, not at all. So that customer will not visit that website in future, right? So it is very devastating, and it is going to cause a very huge loss to the company, right? So now you must have a little bit idea why to secure our website, right? Let's move further. Apart from these two reasons, there are several other reasons because of that we need to secure our website. Some of them are as below. This website hacking is very common. So you will be surprised to know that nowadays even 10th standard students, 9th or 10th standard students who are learning ethical hacking course, right? So their first target is to hack a website. The first assignment they will get, that is to penetrate through a website, to hack a website. So it becomes a very common job for even learners. They are hacking the website, right? Moreover, this hacking a website is very random. That it means while hacking a website, the hacker is not going to bother about the company reputation and company background. He will not going to think over that whether this company is just a startup company or it is a well-established organizational company, what financial benefit he is going to have after hacking. No, hacking becomes a passion, and the hackers are randomly hacking the website. If the business owner is thinking that my business is very small, I have a small website, who will be interested to hack my website? No, he is in might, right? His website can be hacked, because it is a nature of hacker that they will hack any website, whatever the website they are finding any way to penetrate, right? So hacker will hack all the website where they will be finding any way of hacking or any way of penetrating, right? They are not going to see the background of that company, right? So once the company website got hacked, definitely it is going to lose their reputation and credibility in between their customer, because it is very huge or time consuming to build a reputation. Every business owner is knowing that to building a reputation between the customer, it is a not one day job, right? It is long period job, but losing the reputation is a 1 minute job. So suppose a hacker has hacked a company's website, he has put some unwanted content over the website, some pornographic content or nude content over the website. So the reputation of that company organization will be flushed out, right? So it becomes very necessary to secure our website. Apart from this, the another reason which is very important is recovering from blacklist tag is very difficult, right? Once the Google has blacklisted a website, it becomes a very challenging task to recover your website from that blacklist, right? So suppose your website is, you are a huge company, you are having a big website, like you have a main domain, you are having several subdomain, you are dealing with different products, different services, and for each and every service and product you are having different subdomain, right? So once a main domain got hacked, all their subdomain websites will be blacklisted by Google. It is very frequent. It is very frequent. And once your all subdomain will be blacklisted, it becomes very daunting task to recover your website from the blacklist. You have to reach out the Google customer care. You have to submit the petition, right? So this is the data released by CERT-In. CERT-In is a computer emergency response team. It is a Government of India organization directly running under Ministry of IT, and it is sister concern of NIC also. So CERT-In is responsible for taking care of all the cyber attacks which are happening over the public infrastructure, critical infrastructure of government as well as non-government organizations, right? So CERT-In has released the data last year that during 6 to 7 month period, more than 26,000 Indian websites got hacked, right? So, and this figure is increasing. This figure is year-wise. This figure is increasing. Yes. In 2018, it was 17,516. In 19, it reached to 24,000, and in 20, it has crossed more than 26,000 website got hacked. Right. Most of these websites got hacked by Bangladeshi hackers. They are not only hacking the website, they are deleting the data also. They are defacing the website. They are putting the Bangladeshi flag over there on the website homepage. So now you can assume how much it is critical to have a insecure website, right? This is a data released by a company called Symantec. It is a survey done by Symantec company. Symantec is a software company which is used to make and not an antivirus, right? So Symantec has released their data. As per their survey, they have scanned almost all websites over the World Wide Web. Out of the 75% website which they have scanned, they found that more than 30% website has already been hacked, right? And they also find that Google has blacklisted more than 50,000 phishing websites, and also they have marked more than 20,000 different signatures, different variants of malware that Google has blacklisted, right? So as per their survey, as per their report, they have concluded that building a reputation is a very tough job, building a reputation, but losing a reputation is a 1-minute job due to this insecure website. Once your website got hacked, the company will be losing more than 95% traffic, right? And you can now assume if the Flipkart or Amazon loses their 95% traffic, what will happen to their business, right? Their business will be in huge loss, right? Again, it becomes a very challenging task, time consuming as well as expensive affair to make your website from blacklist to whitelist. So it becomes very, very necessary to secure your website. So now I think you all the participants got an idea that why we need to secure our website, right? Is it clear to all of you? Yes, dear participant. Yes. Keep it
Yes, yes.
in the chat box.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. So let's move further. So now we will have an idea about what are the security attacks which can be caused due to vulnerabilities available in the websites. These are some high risk vulnerabilities. These are some high risk vulnerabilities which are available in the websites, right? And due to these vulnerabilities, hackers are exploiting these vulnerabilities and launching different types of attack, right? So each vulnerability is associated with attack. So we are going to see and we are going to demonstrate it. I'm going to demonstrate each and every vulnerability and their impact, security attacks on the websites. So one by one we will see. These are the some high risk vulnerabilities. You can say SQL injection, cross-site scripting, sensitive data exposure, malicious file upload, security misconfiguration, broken access control, using the component with known vulnerabilities, and again last one is insufficient login and monitoring. So these are some common vulnerabilities which are available in the websites, and due to these vulnerabilities, attackers are exploiting these vulnerabilities, right? And they are launching different types of attacks, right? So first of all, we will look into this SQL injection. Just 1 second. So SQL, you must have an idea about SQL injection. SQL, what is SQL? SQL is a structured query languages, right? A structured query language which is used to manage the databases associated with our website. With the SQL, we can manage the database. We can retrieve data from the database. We can insert the data, right? So these are the there are some SQL queries which are running on our website's server, right? Why we need this SQL running on our web server? Because if you are having a website, dynamic website, there are two types of website we can have. One is static and one is dynamic. So in a static website, the content of the page will not be changing. The content of the page will not be changing as per the user input, right? But in dynamic website, whenever you are supplying some input, the data or content of that page will be changing as per the user input. Like suppose you are browsing your college website. Suppose you are browsing your college website and you are browsing the principal message, a page. There must be a page on your college website called director message or principal message. The content of that page will not be changing. The content of that page will not be changing regularly. Right. So it can be considered as a static website, right? But when you are browsing a Flipkart website and you are searching for mobile, you want to purchase your mobile from the Flipkart, right? So if you are writing their mobile phone, so Flipkart website will give you list of mobile phones. If you are searching for clothing, then it will be giving the options for clothing, right? So as per the user input, the content of that page is changing. It means it is a dynamic website, and then the content it is displaying on the browser, it is being fetched from the database. So to fetch the data from the database, there you must have the SQL or database connectivity in your backend, right? So if you are having such type of dynamic website, right, your website may be vulnerable to this SQL, right? If you are using this type of SQL, and when it is vulnerable to SQL injection, if the data entered by the user is being directly placed into the SQL statement. So it is little bit technical. While developing a website, if the developer has written a code in such a way that he is directly inputting the user data, and he's placing that user input into SQL statement, then this attack may occur. Because in that case, what hacker will do? Hacker will use some injection code. And they will write that injection code into the user input field. And due to this user input field, your SQL query which is running on the backend will start misbehaving. Right? And due to this, the hacker will have a persistent access to your account. Let me explain you. Suppose this is a legitimate user. This girl want to access her profile over some any website. So she is providing her username and password on the login control, and once she will enter her username and password. Once he will click on submit button, his username and password will be taken by the HTTP protocol, and it has been taken to the database server, where the detail entered by this girl will be validated with the existing credentials, and if both matches, this girl will be provided access to his or her profile, right? But in case of hacker is not knowing the correct username and password, right? So what he will do, he will inject some injection code in the place of username and password, and due to the injection code, when this injection code has been taken to the SQL will start misbehaving, and due to this misbehaving, the hacker may get an access to the profile or anyone's profile. So it will work like this, right? So I'm going to demonstrate you on a dummy website. Let me demonstrate it. Just give me 1 second. So I am just, I think my screen is visible. So this is a dummy website which I have created just for demonstration. Here I am going to show you how the hacker will be accessing account for which he is not having any user ID and password, right? So this is a website where the website administrator is allowed to log in, because it is a username and password of website administrator. By using this username and password, he will be able to see the feedback given by different customer or clients about his website, right? So this is a restricted page. This view feedback page is a restricted page, and it is only accessible by entering the correct username and password. If I write here anything else, suppose here I'm writing user. So if I'm trying to log in, it is telling me that authentication failed. Please enter correct user ID and password, right? Please enter correct user ID and password. So it is not allowing the random user, but in case of hacker, he is not knowing the correct user and password. So what he will do? He will use some injection. He will use some injection code. Let me show you what are these injection code. This is the injection code 1 or 1 equal to 1. Let me use this injection code in this portal. So in place of password, suppose in any way the hacker is able to guess the username. In any way, hacker is able to guess the username. So now he want to access the profile of admin. He want to access the profile of admin. So in place of password, what he will write? He will write this 1 equal to 1. Just copied and pasted here. Now he is going to log in with this. So once he will click on login, he will be successfully logged in, right? So you can see by using this 1 equal to 1, the hacker will be able to log in to the admin profile, right? He's not having the password, but still with this 1 equal to 1, he is able to log in into the admin profile, right? So how it is possible? So let me explain how it is possible. Even a question may be coming in your mind that, sir, if the hacker is not able to guess the username. So yes, sir, if he is not able to guess the username, even then he can log into his account. How? He do not require to guess any username. He just write this 1 equal to 1 in the place of username, and he can write anything in this field, password field, right? And he will just logged in. You can see by just using this 1 equal to 1, he is successfully logged in his profile. So suppose you are a teacher in any some university or some college. Your college is having some ERP system, and in ERP you are having some login, right? And in that login, suppose you are allowed to log in as a faculty, and you can enter the marks of students, their attendance, right? But what will happen if some of your student is knowing this trick or knowing some hacking tricks? What he will do? He will guess your username, and it is very easy to guess the someone user's name, right? Because many times this username is going to be your email ID only, right? So suppose you are using your email ID as your login. So every student is having your email ID, right? So what he will do? He will just write your email ID, and he will use 1 equal to 1 as a password, and he will log in into your account, and he can alter your marks, alter his attendance percentage, anything he can do. Even he can play with your profile or personal detail also, right? So it becomes very easy, right? So let me explain how it is working. Yeah, that I will share, sir. Please do not bother about the PPT. Please concentrate on the lecture. I will definitely share this, right, sir? So let me show you how it is working, how this 1 equal to 1 is working. So if you have a little bit idea about SQL, then definitely you will be able to understand, right? Okay. So suppose your college is also having some user input like user ID and password control field, right? There you have to there you are entering your user ID and password, right? So once you will enter your user ID and password, you click on submit button. What will happen? The user ID and password that you have entered, that will be taken to your SQL database, right? And there that user ID and password will be supplied to the SQL statement. So how this SQL statement will look like? Select from, suppose table name is login. Suppose this table name where the credentials are stored. Let me show you the table. So for this login, or this login page, I am having a database here. This is the database, and here there is a table called login. Here only two users are authorized. One is admin and another is this user. So admin is authorized with username admin and password is password, right? So with these credentials only I am able to log in. So the SQL which can be running on the backend is look like this. Select star from login, where username. What is this username? This username is the field. You can see here there are two fields in the database, username and password. So it will look like this. Username is equal to supplied username and password equal to supplied password. This query will be running in the backend, right? So if this query will return true value, definitely the user will be allowed to enter into his profile in his login. But what in case when this SQL will not be true, not will return true value, then definitely he will not be allowed to enter into his profile, right? So in case of this hacking, what hacker is using? Hacker is using this 1 equal to 1. Just let me copy this code. Yes. So when hacker will enter username is equal to admin, so admin will be placed here, and in place of password, what will be placed? In place of password, this 1 equal to 1 will be placed. So when I will click on submit button, here, what will happen? Whatever the user input I have given here, it will be directly placed into the SQL statement. So your statement becomes this: username is equal to admin and password is equal to 1 equal to 1. So just see here what is happening. Intentionally the user hacker has given this code, injection code. By giving this first single code, he is completing this condition, because in SQL each condition need to be enclosed by this single code, right? Then only it will be treated as complete. So by using this single code, he is completing this condition. So he now the query becomes like this: select star from login, where username is equal to admin and password is equal to 1. So by using this, the hacker is telling the SQL that, Mr. SQL, you please fetch all the details. Of this person, where username is equal to admin and password is equal to 1. Is password is equal to 1? No. Password is not equal to 1. What password was? I have shown you. The password was password was PASSWRD, password. Actual password was password. So here it is telling the SQL that password is equal to 1. If not the case, if it is not true, if the password is not true, please consider this one, because OR operator is a logical operator. If first condition will not be true, it will check for the other condition, and if this condition will true, it will return true value, right? If either of the condition will true, it will return true value, because they are associated with OR operation. So now hacker is telling the SQL, if password is equal to 1, then it is okay. If password is not equal to 1, please check for 1 equal to 1. And you all are knowing 1 is always equal to 1. It is universal true, right? So due to this, this query becomes true. And as this query becomes true, the select query will retrieve all the data of this admin, and it will fetch the data from the database, and it will push to the browser for displaying in front of user, right? So what in case of I am using 1 equal to 1 in place of admin also? So here I am completing the condition here only. I am not telling SQL to fetch the data of any specific user. So what will happen in that case? Suppose in place of admin I have used Rakesh, so it will fetch the detail of Rakesh. Suppose I have used for Syam, so it will fetch the detail of Syam. Suppose I have written username is equal to Amrendra, so it will fetch the detail of Amrendra. But what in case I am using 1 equal to 1? In this case, the SQL will return. SQL will fetch that detail which is available in the first row of the database. The first row data will be fetched from the database, and whoever the user whoever the user available in the first row, their detail will be displayed in front of hacker, right? So I hope it is clear to all of you. Please reply in the chat box if it is clear, this SQL statement, SQL injection, so that we will move further. Yes, dear participants, is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. So in this way, we have seen how to do this SQL injection on any website, right? So let's move further. There are several other SQL injection code, not only 1 equal to 1. Apart from this 1 equal to 1, there are another injection code available. There are several injection code, in fact, right, which can be used for different purpose, right? So one of the SQL injection code that which I have already shown you. Another is I'm going to show you another SQL injection code is like this. I have to write here the correct username, but it will not work if you are not having the correct username, right? So this injection code will only work when you are having the correct username, right? So suppose I have anyhow I have guessed the correct username, that is admin. So after writing this username, what I will do, I will write here single quote, then space, double dash, space, single dash, right? So by using this, what hacker is doing, he is completing the query by placing the first single quote, and by writing this double dash, space, single dash, he is commenting rest of the part. So in each programming languages, you must have seen there are some characters which are used to comment the sort of code, like in C or C++ programming, slash, star, or double slash is used to code to comment the code. Similarly, if you want to comment the SQL query while in on the fly, you can use this double dash, space, single dash, right? So by using this, what hacker is doing, hacker is completing the query that SQL select star from login table where user is equal to admin, and rest of the part will be commented. So now no need to write the password here. So anything you write here, suppose I have written just AA, so it will work, and it will fetch the detail of admin and it will display in front of me, right? So in this way, this SQL injection will work. And now you can think that if the hacker has hacked to your profile, he can have all the details of your personal detail, right, and all details, right? Even he can modify your profile also. So one thing may be coming in your mind that, sir, can I perform in any website? Can I perform this SQL injection on any other website? No, not. You should not perform this SQL injection on any public website, because, dear participant, as per the IT Act, Information Technology Act 2000, it is a punishable offense, right? It is a punishable offense to use this SQL injection on any public website without prior permission of the owner, website owner. So please do not perform on any public website. You can see I am performing this SQL injection on localhost. It is a website which is hosted locally on my server, right? It is running on my local host, right? So please do not perform on any public website, right? So where to perform? This question may be coming in your mind, sir. Where to check? Where to learn this type of hacking? Yes, sir. You can learn this. I am going to tell you. One platform is Altro Mutual, which is developed by this IBM Corporation. Let me show you how it will work. I hope my screen is visible. So this is the demo website which is created by IBM Corporation, right? And it is just for learning process only. If you do any hacking, on this website, you will not be penalized as per the IT Act, right? So let me try here. So suppose I want to log in here. So the correct username is jsmith and password is demo1234. Let me log in with J Smith's account. Yes, it is successful. So this is the correct username and password. So I will share this with you also along with my PPT. So what is this website? This website is a dummy website of internet banking website, where you can check for your account balance. You can view account summary. You can perform transaction. You can transfer the funds. Right? It is a dummy website created for just testing purpose only. So here you can try out your SQL injections codes, right, which I have demonstrated you. So let's try. So I'm going to try out J Smith single quote space double dash space single dash, right? So this is a method of doing SQL injection, because at many website this 1 equal to 1 may not work. That is why hackers or researchers has identified different hacking tools, right? Hacking syntax, right? So this syntax will, I think it should work here. I have written J Smith. I am not knowing the password. Whether what is the password of J Smith. So what I have done, I have written here single quote space double dash space single dash, and I am writing AA in place of password. So let me log in. Yes, it is successfully logged in. It means this website is vulnerable to SQL injection, right? This website, and anyone can hack into anyone's account using this SQL injection. So I hope it is clear to all of you. So please keep responding so that I can also feel that this session is interactive. Otherwise, I feel like because I know as a teacher, if you are hearing someone, it is very difficult to hear someone. As a teacher, it is very difficult to sit down for 2 hours and listen to anyone, right? I can understand, but still I want to make it as much as interactive. So please keep responding. Yes, sir. Thank you. So next application on which you can perform this attack, it is DVWA, and this application you also have to install on your laptop. So I have my another session tomorrow. So I am hoping that you must install this software. I am going to share the complete installation guide with the coordinators of this course, and you will get that installation guide through Bindu ma'am, and you please try it out to install on your laptop, so that you will also able to perform or practice this type of attack locally on your laptop. So this application is called DVWA, Damn Vulnerable Web Application, right? So let me show you what is this DVWA. So it will look like this. So this DVWA will look like this, right? It is Damn Vulnerable Web Application. It is a complete website which is it is open source website. It is available over its official website of DVWA. You can download it and you can install in your system. And you can see here, it is having multiple options to perform different types of attack, right? So these attacks you can perform and you can learn. It is a very good platform for learning, right? Ethical hacking. If you want to learn, so you can download it, you can host it, and you can practice it, right? So tomorrow I will demonstrate some attacks over this DVWA. Along with demonstration, I will also demonstrate. If you are getting any problem while installation, I will demonstrate the installation also tomorrow. So this is the platform which you can download and you can practice here, right? Many attacks you can perform here, right? So let's move further. So the next attack is cross-site scripting. So what this cross-site scripting is, as its name is telling, cross-site means cross-platform. It will work. This type of vulnerability may be existing on any platform website, whether your website is running on Windows system, Linux system, or any other distribution operating system, whether you have developed your website on in PHP or Java or .NET, whatever the technology you are using. So this vulnerability can be present in any of this website, right? And this type of attack can be launched on any platform, any web platform website, right? Why? Why it is so? Because it is totally dependent upon the client side scripting. Client side scripting means JavaScript. JavaScript is a client side scripting, and it has nothing to do with the server side scripting languages like Java, JSP, .NET, ASP, PHP, Python, whatever the language you are using as a server side scripting. It is totally independent of that server side technology, because it is using client side scripting it is using, and client side, that is JavaScript, is being used by almost all the websites. 99% websites are using JavaScript. You cannot find a website which is not having the JavaScript. And if you disable the JavaScript in your computer, many of the feature of that website will stop working, and website will start misbehaving. If you disable your JavaScript, you will not be able to access the Flipkart website. You cannot able to add the product into the cart. You cannot be able to place the order. So users are bound to use this JavaScript. If you disable the JavaScript in your browser, almost 80% of the functionality will be blocked of that website. If you are filling up any form, application form on any website, you must have seen that if you by mistake you have entered your name in place of mobile number, it will be giving you warning that characters cannot be there in the mobile number. And if you are entering any digit or numeric character in your name, it will be giving you pop-up message, warning message, that number is not allowed in the name, right? So if this type of facility is there in your website or application form, definitely they are using the JavaScript, because it cannot be possible without JavaScript. And this is the advantage, this is the technology of which the hackers are taking the advantage, right? Because you are bound to use the JavaScript, and hackers are taking the advantage of JavaScript. They will insert or perform some untrusted JavaScript, like some unwanted JavaScript, and they will push that JavaScript code into your website. And once that malicious JavaScript will be posted to your website may perform some unusual activity, right? So this is called cross-site scripting. And your browser, whatever the browser you are using, whether you are using Mozilla Firefox or Chrome, each and every browsers nowadays are designed or in such a way that they should support the JavaScript, right? And whenever the browser comes in contact with JavaScript, they directly run the JavaScript without bothering about whether this JavaScript is trusted or not, whether it is malicious or valid JavaScript. Browser will not bother about. They will just run that JavaScript, and as a result of that, your website may be having problem, right? Your website may be having some unusual activity, right? So there are two types of JavaScript, cross-site scripting. One is traditional XSS and another is stored XSS. So I'm going to explain this traditional one and stored one by one. So traditional XSS involves a process called social engineering. In that process, you have to attract your clients. You have to attract the victims, right? As a hacker, so hacker will be attracting the victims to click on some malicious link. Like in case, suppose I am a hacker, I want to hack your banking website, banking account. So what I will do, I will prepare a malicious link. I will send it to your email, and I will tell you that I am a representative of bank. You have won a lottery amount. You have rewarded a 1 lakh amount as a prize. And if you want to claim that amount, you please click on this link, log into your internet banking account and claim your amount, right? So what as a user you will do? You will firstly check from where this link is coming, right? So definitely you will see the URL of that link. So if the URL is look like this, see here, it is, suppose this URL I have sent to you, and you what as a normal user you will see the domain of the link, that from which domain this link belongs to, right? So you will see, okay, it is the link of online SBI. So definitely you will be going to trust it, right? Because this is a authentic website of State Bank of India, right? It is authentic website. You can see here. If I open this link, it is authentic website of State Bank of India, right? So you will just see the domain. Okay, the domain is valid domain. It is a correct domain. So you will, without seeing the rest of the part of your URL, because you may have seen many cases the URL length is too long, and there are several characters are in URL. But as a normal user, you are not going to check for each and every characters or appended characters in your URL. You will just see the domain and you will just click on that link. As soon as you will click on that link, you will be redirected to some other website. You can see here, I am using here a script, and in that script I am using windows.redirect function. It is redirecting me to some other phishing website. What is this phishing website? Can anyone tell me what is this phishing? Yes, dear participant, can you please tell me what is this phishing? Impression of so it is just a copy of your website, right? So it is very easy job to make a copy of authenticated website, right? So suppose this is a State Bank of India's website, and it is just 5-minute job for me to create a website which is having same look and feel, right? But domain will be different, right? So what hacker is doing, they are creating the phishing website. Phishing website means a website which is pretending to be a authenticated website. It will be having same look and feel but different domain, right? Different domain. Suppose I have purchased a domain called www.amrendra.com, and I have hosted with this same look and feel a website I have hosted on that domain. So that becomes a phishing website, right? So what I will do, I will append a link of phishing website along with my actual website website link, and I will send this link to your email. As soon as you will click on that link, you will be redirected to some phishing website which will be having same look and feel. And as soon as you will enter your user ID and password, because this website is owned by me, so I will have all the data. I will have access of all the data which the user is entering. So I will get your username and password, and I will clean your account, right? So this is the way this will work. Though your traditional XSS is working. Traditional XSS is also known as reflected XSS, right? So you can see here flowchart. Attacker is sending an email to the victim, and he is attracting the victim to click on that link. As soon as the victim will click on that link, he will be redirected to some vulnerable bank website, that is phishing website. As soon as he will enter some credentials over there, the attacker will gain full access of victim account. So this involves the social engineering. So it is not always very easy to do this because it involves the social engineering, and if the user is very much aware about this type of hacking, definitely he is not going to click on that link, right? And this reflected XSS is only possible on only those websites where this vulnerabilities is there, right? Where these websites are allowing to append any sort of code with their domain, right? Right. So next attack is stored XSS. In reflected XSS, what the hacker is doing? Hacker is just taking the advantage of someone's website, but he is not entering into the website. He is not changing anything in the website. He is not deleting the data in the website, right? But in stored XSS, hacker is going to penetrate into the website, and he will be able to push some malicious code into your website, right? And due to which your website start misbehaving, and it may be defaced. Defaced means the face of your website will be changed, right? So let me demonstrate how this stored XSS will work. So this stored accesses you may found on those websites where they are providing input field. They are providing some input field to collect some feedback or messages from the user. Like in Facebook you must have seen, in Facebook, if you want to wish someone about his birthday or anything, then you should go to you have to go to his profile. In his profile you will find a text box just below his name, where you can share your thoughts, you can wish him, right? So the Facebook is providing a text box where you have to provide your comments, right? Similarly, if your website is inviting comments or feedback from the users, then it may be possible that your website is having this type of vulnerability. So similarly, with case of this website, you can see here, this website is asking for feedback from its customer, right? So suppose as a customer, I am writing here my name and I'm writing some feedback. I'm writing my comment or feedback. So it is giving me the message that feedback has been recorded successfully. A pop-up message is coming that feedback message has recorded successfully. So how to see this feedback and who can see this feedback? Only the web administrator is able to see, because he is only having the user ID password. Otherwise, who will be able to see? The hacker, who is skilled with this SQL injection, right? So you can see here, just now I have commented on the website. I have given a feedback that this website is very nice, right? So I'm able to see this feedback. But what in case of hacker? Will hacker enter here some valid feedback? No, hacker will not enter here any valid feedback. What he will enter? He will enter here some malicious script, and as a result of that, this website may start misbehaving. Let me show you one of the script. I am going to push here. As a hacker, I am going to write here a script in the field of comment. I am going to write here script, right? I am going to hack. Your Facebook, right? So I'm going to write this script in the field of this feedback, and I will be submitting it. So your feedback has been recorded successfully. So can anyone tell me what will be the result of that in the chat box? What will be the result of that? No idea, sir. Okay, just see, because I have just inserted a malicious JavaScript in the feedback. As a result of that, when web administrator will try to log into his account, as soon as he will log in, a pop-up message will be coming in front of you. Hey buddy, I am going to hack your Facebook. Suppose today morning or tomorrow morning you have just logged into your Facebook, and as soon as you are logging, a pop-up message is coming that, hey buddy, I am going to hack your Facebook at 9 o'clock. If you can stop me, you just stop me. I will delete all your photo. I will get all your photo, right? So by doing that, definitely you will not be happy. Definitely you will not be happy by seeing this message, right? So, and you will be in trouble. It will be very, very annoying, right? Each time when the web administrator will try to log in, he will get some same message he will get, hey buddy, I'm going to hack your Facebook, right? And you can see also here, the comment given by hacker is not visible in this web page. It is just visible as a pop-up. Why it is coming as a pop-up? Because I have already told you earlier, whenever your browser comes in contact with any script, he will run the script. The browser will run the script, right? And as a result of that, your page will keep giving this pop-up messages that I'm going to hack your profile, right? So what is the current solution? What is the present solution for it? You have to delete that feedback from your database, and it always not easy job to have an access of database, because many big website is having different database administrator, and the developer is not having the access of database, right? So in that case, you again have to approach the database administrator to delete the particular entry. Suppose your website is having 1,000 number of entry or lakh number of entry, it becomes almost impossible to identify this type of entries and to delete it. Right now, I'm going to delete it from my database. Here is the database, feedback database, and you can see here whatever the feedback I have given, right? Whatever feedback the users has given about my website, these all feedbacks have been stored in my database. That is why whenever I am logging to my account, it is being available for me, right? If I was not storing all the feedback, I will not be able to see this feedback and any future time, right? So here this script is also stored. So I'm going to delete this feedback to get rid of this pop-up message. Now this pop-up message will not come. So this cross-site scripting is not only limited to this giving the pop-up message. You can do many things. You can do many things. You can post some unwanted content over that website, right? You can post unwanted video or photos over that website. So let me show you. Now I'm going to give some another feedback as a hacker, and this time I'm going to give some serious script. Let me show you what is the result of this. My feedback has been recorded successfully. Now let's see what is the result of this. When a web administrator will log in again for his profile, you can see here. He will be redirected to some horror scene, right? As soon as he has entered his login ID and password, he has been redirected to some horror scene. Let me show you again, once again. So here, administrator is going to log in. Web administrator is going to log in to see the feedback. As soon as he will click on login button, he will be automatically redirected. He will be automatically redirected to this horror page. You can see here this horror page is coming in front of hacker, and definitely the web administrator will not be happy to see this page, right? So in similar case, when you are logged into your Facebook profile, suppose someone has entered some script in your profile, and when you are logged in, you are getting some horror movies photo in front of your photo, your profile photo. So definitely you will not be happy, right? So this is the impact of your cross-site scripting vulnerability available in your website. Again, what is the current solution? The current solution is to delete these entries from the database, and it is always not possible to delete each individual entries from the database, right? I hope it is clear to all of you. Can't this sort of script submission be validated, sir? Yes, you are very right. Gayatri Dev, madam, you are very, very right. When I will discuss the safeguard technique in tomorrow's session, I will definitely let you know. Prakash Meena is not using Facebook from last 5 years. Very good, sir. So definitely it is a suggested solution. It is a suggested solution, ma'am. Right. So I will discuss it tomorrow. What is the suggested solution to cope up with these vulnerabilities? Right. I hope it is clear to all of you about this cross-site scripting. So shall I move further?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. So next is your sensitive data exposure. Again, it is a very, you can say, high risk, it is termed as high risk vulnerability, but very easy to perform. And even while after learning, a 9th or 10th standard student can take advantage of this vulnerability, right? So what this vulnerability is, it is sensitive data exposure. Is, as its name is suggesting, you are putting your sensitive data to the public or for the public, and it is exposed. Your sensitive data has been exposed, right? Due to unawareness about these security threats, the website administrator are placing the sensitive data over the exposed servers or exposed directories, right? So how it will work? Let me explain. So whenever you are hosting your website, suppose you are hosting your website for the first time, right? So suppose I have launched my website just one day before, and people has started visiting my website. So once the people will start visiting my website, the Google search engine will get to know that this website is now public and people are accessing that website. So the Google, it is the responsibility of Google analytical softwares. They will start making the indexes of your website. Why they are making the indexes of your website? So that in future, whenever someone search for your website on Google, they will able to answer the query, right? So it is default nature of Google search engine. Whatever the website which is available over the World Wide Web, the Google search engine will start making the indexes, the index entry for each and every pages or each and every files available in the web server, right? So suppose you have just hosted your website today, and now it is live over the World Wide Web, www.something.com, right? So suppose your website is having 5 pages: about us, contact us, about my services, feedback, about profile, about student, right, about the courses. So suppose this type of pages your website is having. So as soon as Google crawlers will start crawling your website, and I have already told you why Google is crawling, because it is default nature of Google to crawl through your website. Because if Google will not crawl through your website, he will not be able to answer any search related to your website in his Google search query box, right? So Google will start crawling your web server, and whatever the files Google search engine will find on your web server, it will make an index entry for each and every file in their database. And the Google is having a huge database. Google is having a huge database, right? So while making the indexes of your website, if Google finds that there is some backup files, so because some unskilled website manager or website developer, what they are doing, they are taking the backup of files of their websites, of their databases, and they are placing that backup files in the web server itself, right? Google is not having the access of your database. But when you take backup of your database and you are placing the backup file, generally the backup files are having the extension .sql file or .amd file, right? .mdf file. These are some data files or data backup file of your database, right? So if you are placing your database backup file on same server, because 90% cases, what website developer are doing, they used to use automated batch script which will be taking the backup of the files, backup of the data of your website regularly, backup of the database regularly on after every 24 hours. These batch scripts are taking the backup of your database, so that in case your database crashes, your computer crashes or your website crashes, you will be able to recover from that. So if you are taking the backup, and if you are placing the backup on same server, then this will be termed as a vulnerability, right? So it is always not recommended to place your backup file on the same web server, because while making the index entry, what Google will do, Google will not able to distinguish between whether it is a backup file or whether it is a website file. He will make index entry for all the files available in the web server, and as a result of that, hackers are very smart. They are knowing that how to extract or how to search these specific database backup files, and by searching this database backup file, what hacker will do, they will get the backup of your database, and in your database they can get very valuable information, right? Like Aadhaar card, your credit card or banking detail, your personal detail, your user ID, password, right? Faculty ID, faculty password, faculty details. Each and every details are being stored in the database only. And if the hacker has gained the access of your database file, he can decode the database file, extract the information from your database. So it is going to be very, very dangerous, right? Yes. So the technique which is being used by the hacker is called Google dorking, and Google dorking is basically set of command which is being used by the hackers. So one of the command I am going to demonstrate you. So I have given the list of different commands of Google dorking. This technique is known as Google dorking, and by using this Google dorking command, hacker is going to search the backup files. Let's see. I'm going to open this google.com. Sorry. So in google.com, what I'm going to search? I'm going to search for this code. Right. In this code, what I'm telling the Google, I am telling the Google that Mr. Google, please search for all the sites which is having the domain ac.in. ac.in means academic website. AC means academic website, and in means India. So I'm telling the Google that Mr. Google, please search all the academic website in India, sites of all academic website in India for file type SQL. For file type SQL. As a result of this, Google has displayed many SQL file backup file, and you will be surprised to see their very reputed names are there. Ismail University, Indira Gandhi University, IIT Bombay, IIT Indore. Many big players are here, and you will not be surprised to know that your website, your college website may be listed here. If you go ahead in the next pages, your website may be listed here, right? So it is very dangerous. It is very, very dangerous to put your data, and by doing this, you are putting your data open to the public. And how the hacker will get or take advantage of this backup file? Just click over here. I'm going to click on this website backup file. Let me check if it is opening. You can see here it is a backup file, though it is not opening anyway. So I'm going to open another one. Yes, this has opened. This is a complete backup files, database backup file, and very important information I can get. Even I can get the server version, what are the MySQL version the client is, the victim is using, what is the table name, what is the database name. I can get the database name also, OPAC. I can see the table name, I can see the table structure, right? I can see the table structure also, and many details, huge details is available. You can see here a huge detail is available. It may contain the profile of faculty or details or anything. Many details can be available here, right? And it will be very, very helpful for the attackers to take advantage, right? If it is a sensitive data, they can blackmail you. They can start blackmailing you, right? If it is a sensitive data. So it becomes very, very essential to protect your backup file, not to put into on your public server, right? So IIT Bombay, IIT Kharagpur, they are openly putting their data, right? Only putting their data for the public. In Dhirubhai Ambani College of Engineering, this is DIPAIICT, Dhirubhai Ambani College, Gujarat. They have also put some database. Though it is not having the huge data, but even still I am able to know the table name, employee. It is an employee table. I can able to see the date of birth, the first name, last name, and all, right? So this type of data is available. So this is called your sensitive data exposure, and you can see how much dangerous it is. No, sir, it is not. It is nothing to do with your SSL, sir, right? If this backup files is available on your web server, definitely it will be accessible. Definitely it will be accessible by the hackers, right? So I hope you have got some clarity about how this sensitive data exposure works, right? Is it clear to all the participants? Yes. Thank you. So shall I move further? Yes. Okay. So the next attack. Just 1 second. सर वो अटेंडेंस के लिए अनाउंस कर दीजिएगा प्लीज. अटेंडेंस के लिए अनाउंस कर दीजिएगा. हाँ ऑलरेडी शेयर्ड है सर चैट बॉक्स में. So next attack which can be considered as a high risk vulnerability is malicious file upload, and this is going to be very, very devastating for the website. If someone a hacker get a persistent access of a website, he can make your website or web server as a bot to perform different activities, right? So the malicious file upload is a types of vulnerabilities which can be available in any website which is having an option to upload the files. Suppose your website is having an option where you are asking the user to upload his images or photos or any resume or biodata, right? So in that case, what the hacker will do, he will try to upload some arbitrary, he will try to upload some executable code, malware code, and it will execute that executable code. And after executing this executable code, he will get some access to your web server as a root privileges, and he can download, he can delete any file from your web server, right? So let me show you how it will work. So suppose in your college you are asking the students to upload their assignment, right? Or suppose you are applying somewhere for any post or any job where you have to upload your photo or signature, right? So while uploading your photo and signature, you must have encountered this type of file upload. Here you can see in this page you can see here I have given an option to the training applicant to upload their sponsorship letter, and if the candidate is uploading simple file like PDF or images, then it is okay. You can see here I have written here that only PDF and JPG file is allowed to upload. But if the user is a valid user, definitely he is going to upload some PDF or image file here, and he will be allowed to upload this file. You can see here the upload has been done. But in case of hacker, definitely hacker is not going to upload a valid, you can say, image or PDF file. What he will do, he will try to upload some executable file. So let me see if I am having any executable file with me. Yes, here you can see these are some executable file. These are some, you can see now, PHP file. PHP file are basically some executable file, and this type of file should not be allowed to upload, because this file may containing some malware code. Tomorrow I will be practically uploading, I will upload some malware and demonstrate you how to take the advantage, how to take over the system, right? So if your website is aligned to upload this type of script, PHP script or executable script, then definitely it is going to harm you, right? So let me try if it is aligned or not. I have just selected a PHP script file and I am going to upload it. You can see it has been successfully uploaded. It means this website is not filtering the files type while uploading. Though it is written here that PDF and image file is only allowed, it is allowing me to upload some script also. So that should be avoided. That should be strictly avoided, because by using this, hacker can upload some malware, and after uploading the malware, he can take over the system. He can make the system as a bot. And you must have heard about this DDoS attack, right? Yes. DDoS attack. How this DDoS attack are being launched? Because hackers, what hackers are doing, they are uploading some malware, and after uploading the malware, they are taking over control. They are taking complete control of the system, and after taking the complete control, they are launching some attack from that system, right? They are launching some attack from that system, right? So this should be avoided. So if your website or web server is having this type of problem, it may be possible that long back your server becomes a bot, and the hackers are taking advantage of your system and using as a bot to launch the DDoS attack, right? So it should be avoided. You should not upload any, you should not allow to upload any executable file into your website, right? Gayatri ma'am is asking, is it possible to position a PHP file inside an image file, sir? Yes, it is possible, ma'am. But in that case, what will happen if you insert your PHP inside an image and you have uploaded? As a hacker, you might not be able to access that file because you have changed the extension of that file. You have positioned your PHP file inside the image, so you can directly not you will not be able to directly access your or execute that PHP file. So it may be problem, right? But I can demonstrate you. It is very easy. If the website is accepting this type of PHP or a scripting file in their input field, their server it will be easily hacked, right? So let's move further. So I hope this malicious file upload is okay or clear to all of you. And next is security misconfiguration. It is also considered as a high risk vulnerability, and it is again very easy to perform. Very easy to perform. It is related to misconfiguration of your server, because it has been observed that while development of any website, the website owner are giving so much pressure on the developers to develop the website as soon as possible, right? So in that type of pressure, developers may do some misconfiguration. They are not taking care of appropriate configuration of your servers. And while if your web server will not be appropriately configured, this type of problem may occur. Which type of problem? Directory listening or directory traversal. So security misconfiguration is a type of vulnerabilities which is going to be exploited, and the attack is known as directory listening or directory traversal, right? So how it will work? If the website is having this type of problem or this type of vulnerability, that is directory traversal or directory listening, hacker will able to access restricted directory on your server without having the permission. He can access the restricted directories, right? How he can access? Let me show you. Suppose here the administrator is allowed to log into his account to see the feedback, right? To see this feedback, right? Only administrator is allowed, right? Apart from administrator, who can see this feedback? The obvious answer is hacker, who is expert of this SQL injection. But if the hacker is not knowing even the SQL injection, even though he can access that restricted folder, how he will access? By using this directory listening. If this website is having this problem, directory listening, he can access. And how to perform this directory listening? Let me show you. The hacker will go to your browser address bar. Here you can see these are the directory: localhost, site new one, and audit. Each directory is separated by /sign. This /sign is representing the main. This is main directory. This is the subdirectory, and this is another subdirectory of that directory. So by using this /sign, we are separating the different directories, right? Right. So in that directories, what I have done, I have just deleted this page name, and I will going to enter into the directory. I will just hit the enter button. As soon as I will hit the enter button, you can see the entire directory is visible to me. As a hacker, the entire directory is visible to me, and here I can see the feedback view feedback page. So without having the correct username and password, without having the skills of SQL injection, I can easily and I can able to see this view feedback page. Not only view feedback page, I am able to access all the pages, all the files available in this directory. This is called restricted directories, directory listening problem, right? So you will be surprised to know even nowadays more than 50% websites are having this type of vulnerabilities. So I cannot quote the name. A prestigious organization of India, Government of India, who is looking after all the different academic institutions, right? Their data, their confidential data is with them, and they are also having this type of problem. though we have identified this problem and they have taken care, but this type of big reputed organizations are having this type of problem, right, in their website. So this vulnerability is again very dangerous, and it is very common, right? So it should be avoided in your website. So next is broken access control. What is this broken access control? So it is related with some broken, you can say, chain of access, right? Broken chain of access. What is this broken chain of access? You must have heard about session. What is session? Can anyone tell me what is session? While visiting a website, have you heard about session? Yes, dear participants.
Particular period of time, sir.
It is period of time. For what period of time, ma'am?
To do that job, particular job. Suppose if we are banking industry, if you log in, no, sir, it will be enabled only for a particular period of time. Then it will be automatically it will be going to the logout. So it will be not able to work. It will be disabled to proceed further.
Okay, you are very much correct. Basically, session is, if I talk programmatically, session is a programming variable which will be storing your credentials. When you first time log into your account, suppose you are using your banking system, internet banking. When you first time you will log in, what will happen? Your credentials will be stored on some variables which are created on server, right? And until you will not click on logout button, or until your session period, automatic session period, will expire, you will be allowed to access the resources of that server, right? So it is one time job. When you enter your login ID password, your session will be created. Once your session will be created, until you will not click on logout button, you will be allowed to access all the resources on that server, right? Yeah, definitely you are right. So based on the credentials, because each time when you request some resource from that web server, your user ID and password will be taken from the session. It will be validated, and after that you will be granted an access to that resource, right? So if this session is not properly implemented in your website, when you are clicking on logout button, what should happen? Can anyone tell me? When you are clicking on logout button, what should happen? What should happen when you are clicking on logout button? Very good. Kushalji has answered. Session must be destroyed. You are very right, sir. The session which has been created for your access should be destroyed, right? And next time when you are going to log in, it should ask you to again enter your credentials to create the session again, right? Yes. But in case of this broken access control, if the session is not properly implemented, on that server, even after clicking on logout button, your account will be accessible, right? So suppose you are accessing your account. Let me explain you through the demonstration. Suppose you are accessing your account on some public system, which is having access to the public, right? So suppose you have accessed your internet banking profile on any PC which is located on your laboratory, college laboratory. You have done some transaction. You have seen your balances. And you have just clicked on logout button and you went away, right? After clicking on logout button, suppose you went away, and after you went away, another user has came to that system, and he or she has seen that before me someone was accessing this website, right? Because the login page is here. So what will happen? He will just try to click on this back button, right? Once he will click on once he will click on this back button, and if the profile is visible, it means the session is not properly implemented. That is, session is still maintained and it has not been destroyed, right? So it is totally, you can say, a misconfiguration or vulnerabilities due to ignorance or not properly implementing the sessions, right? So by just clicking on this back button, I am able to see this page. It means this website is having the problem of broken access control, right? So it should not be there in the website. Otherwise, anyone can access anyone's account, right? I hope it is clear to all of you. Broken access control. Next vulnerability is called using component with known vulnerabilities, right? So it is again a type of awareness, right? It tells that if you are a developer, if you are going to develop your website, you should not use any sort of code which are vulnerable. Suppose you are using older version of code, right? Because many times if you are getting your website developed from market, third party developers, they are developing your website just for 5,000. They are just charging 5,000 or 10,000 and they will develop your website. What they are doing, they are just getting some old source of code from the GitHub or open internet, and they are putting that codes into your website. So if that code is vulnerable, because many times these codes are being posted by the hackers only. They have posted some sort of code, older version of sort of code, and if you are using some vulnerable version of that code, your website will be vulnerable. So it can be the example of this known vulnerability components are using of a vulnerable version of PHP, use of outdated kernel version, use of unpatched window, use of vulnerable jQuery version, right? So if nowadays if you are using Windows 7, it means you are very much vulnerable, right? Because everyone is knowing that Windows 7 is having very much vulnerabilities, too much vulnerabilities, right? And the software about which the hackers are knowing that this type of vulnerability is available in this software, and it is well known to the hackers. This type of vulnerabilities are known as known vulnerabilities, and this type of software are known as component with known vulnerabilities. So if you are using this type of software, sort of code or component in your website, definitely your website will be in trouble and you will be hacked. You will be hacked, right? So it is just one year back. There was a case of Drupal. Drupal was a software which was used to make learning management system, right? So within a period of 2 or 3 days, more than 1 lakh website got hacked, which was developed in the Drupal. And how it was possible? Because Drupal was having a high risk vulnerability, and it was known to the hackers. And across the world, all the hackers got to know that this vulnerability is available in the Drupal. They start targeting the Drupal based learning management system, and within a week, more than 1 lakh website got hacked. So Drupal has released circulars that please do not use this vulnerable version of Drupal software. We will be releasing the patched version. Patched version means the latest version. We will be releasing very soon. You should not use this vulnerable version, right? So this is the reason why the software which you are using in your mobile, your desktop, in your computer, they are keep sending you a message. Please update this software. Every week or every month you will be getting some update messages. Please update your software. Why these software companies are giving you updates? Because they are giving you some patches of the vulnerabilities which are identified by the hackers. Because as soon as a vulnerability is identified by the hackers, the companies got to know about these vulnerabilities. They immediately patch these vulnerabilities before it is known to all the hackers. The responsibility of companies to let their user know about this vulnerability and to update their software, right? So I hope it is clear to all of you. Can we trace the unauthorized user of Google Meet session? Sir, I will come to that point, sir. Let me complete first. Insufficient login and monitoring. It is another, you can say, lack of awareness, right? But it is termed as a vulnerability also. So many times it has been observed that the website is running very fine for a long period, but suddenly it got hacked. Even the website owners has taken all the preventive steps to protect his website, but still his website got hacked, right? Suppose your website, you have developed your website from a third-party developer, and for the last 2 years, your website is running fine, no hacking, nothing has been done. But you observe that this year you have your annual maintenance contract has over with the developers, and just after the end of the AMC, your website got hacked. So this is alarming, right? What is happening many times that this third party cheap developers, what they are doing, they're putting some backdoor in the website, right? Because once the AMC will be over, you are not going to pay them for maintenance, and definitely the source of money will stop for the developer company. So for that, what they are doing, they are leaving some backdoor in your website to get the persistent access, and when the AMC will be over, they will start penetrating into your website. They start doing something wrong with your website, so that you will again approach to the website developer, and you will start paying the annual maintenance cost, right, to them. So how to know that my website is having this type of problem? This can only be done using proper login and monitoring. So suppose I can share you a case study with you that 10 years back, when I have joined this institute, so our website was developed by some third-party developers, right? Third-party developers, and the AMC was over. So we have observed that very frequently our website is having some unwanted link posted on our website. Someone is posting some unwanted link on our website very frequently. We are deleting it from the database, and again it is being posted on our website. So it has given us alarm, and when we have conducted the session trail. Session trail is a technique in which the website administrator will be looking for all the access throughout the day or throughout the night. So we have observed that in midnight period, our website access is increased heavily. In daytime, our website was having approximately 2,000 hits, but in midnight, our website was having 2 lakh hits. So it was alarming for us. So we will start tracing it, and we found that the developer company itself has written some code in that with his email ID, and all the access is being provided to that developer company. So we have caught them, and we have penalized them, right? And we have stopped our services, and we have developed our website indigenously, right? So this is the way of proper login and monitoring. So you should properly monitor your activity on your website, that how much access is there for your website in midnight, right? So this is the part of proper login and monitoring. So the last thing which I would like to share, that is OS Top 10. So till now, what we have covered, that we have covered various vulnerabilities, high-risk vulnerabilities which are available in the website. I have also demonstrated almost all the vulnerabilities and their way of working, and what are the impact of that on our website, right? So next thing which I am going to discuss, because I hope I am having another 9 minutes. Yes, Bindu ma'am, shall I continue?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
No issues.
Thank you, ma'am. So what will happen in this case? In this case, sorry. What I was explaining. I was explaining that we have learned all the different type of vulnerabilities which are available in the website. Now I am going to discuss about OS Top 10. What is our OS Top 10? OS Top 10 is a community. It is known as Open Web Application Security Project. It is a non-profit organization, or you can say community, which is having researchers or hackers, right, from across the world, right, and every year they are meeting in different countries or different cities, and what they are concluding during their meeting, they are concluding about what are the latest security attacks which are being identified in the websites, right, web applications, right. So if any new website threats or security vulnerabilities are invented, they will share during their meeting, and they will prepare a document which that document is called as OS Top 10 document. It is a very powerful document, and it will be containing top 10 security risks, right? Top 10 security risks. So the vulnerabilities which are listed in the top 10 are latest one, right? If some vulnerabilities are known to all the hackers, all the developers, then that vulnerability will be removed, because if the developer got to know that this is the vulnerable version of software, or this vulnerability is very easy to patch, and people will start patching this vulnerability while development. So this vulnerability will be absolute. So that vulnerabilities which is absolute will be removed from the top 10 list, and the new vulnerabilities, if invented, will be added to that document, right? So for every 2 to 3 year or 3 to 4 year, this list will keep refreshing, right? They are meeting every year, but it is not necessary that every year this list get updated or this list got changed. Until a new risk has been identified, the list will not be revised, right? But they are meeting every year, they are discussing, right? I am the part of the India chapter of West Top 10 also. So they are analyzing different risks, their impact, and what are the countermeasures of that risks. And after this meeting, they will be releasing a document, or you can say list of top 10 vulnerabilities. So last time the top 10 vulnerability list has been released on 2017, and the first OS top 10 document was released in 2003, right? From 2003, each year they are meeting, they are discussing, and they are publishing this their guidelines and their documentation, right? So this is the latest one. The last documentation or list which was released was in 2017. You can see here, these are the top 10 list of vulnerabilities: injection, broken authentication, sensitive data exposure, XML external entity attack, broken access control, security misconfiguration, cross-site scripting, insecure deserialization, using component with known vulnerabilities, and insufficient login and monitoring. So almost all I have already covered. So injection means SQL injection or OS injection. There are different types of injection. So almost all the vulnerability I have already covered. So now you can have an idea what is OS top 10, right? So, and what are the vulnerabilities which are listed in OS top 10, how they are working, right? And what are their impact. So now we come to the solution. What is the solution to avoid this type of attack, to prevent our websites, if our website is having this type of vulnerabilities, how to cope up with these vulnerabilities, how to avoid this type of attack. So that solution part I will discuss in my tomorrow's lecture. So here I am stopping here. So if you have any query, you can ask in the chat box. Rest of the part I will be covering tomorrow. Yes, dear participant, if you have any query, you can ask in the chat box. Any query? Is intrusion and attack are same? Yes, Ram Babuji, intrusion are basically related to an attack which can be targeting the network resources also, or infrastructure also, right? But here we are only discussing about the web application or application services, right? So intrusion may be related to your targeting your servers or resources, not in only your website only, right? Thank you very much, Suman Lata ji. If you are having any doubts, you can ask. Can we trace the unauthorized user for Google Meet session? Sir, no, not possible, because that control Google has not given you, right? That control Google has not given you. You cannot trace it out, right? So tomorrow, today I will be giving a installation guide through the FTP convener or coordinators. So you please install that software DBWA in your system. Tomorrow we will have some practice on DBWA. So I request all the participants to please install it and do practice along with me tomorrow. I hope you have enjoyed the session. Can we use Bob Suite for IoT? Definitely, sir. Definitely, you can use.
Participants, if you do not have any queries, we'll wind up the session. Thank you, Amrendra sir. It's really a very good session. Like you have given us the practical exposure of all the attacks and the vulnerabilities. It's really wonderful, sir. Thank you very much, and hope to meet you in the next session as well with some
Once
set of
again,
hands-on.
thank you very much, ma'am, and thank you to the participant for listening me. So we
Yeah,
will meet
thank you very
tomorrow.
much.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So participants will wind up the session for today, and tomorrow we'll start this. First session will start at 9:30 itself. You join the sessions sharply at 9:30. Thank you.